All right, welcome to the Cerebral Edge with Coach Kris. I'm Coach Kris, and this is the only show that aims to get you 1% better every day.
1%.
1%. That's it, just every day.
Every day.
At the end of 365 days.
Hey, that's a lot of 1%.
That's a lot of 1%.
I think it's 365. 1%.
Yeah, we're not mathematicians or anything
Nope.
here, but
No.
right, all right.
Yep.
Anyway, Dr. Jim Withers is an esteemed physician with a lot of elite athletes around the world. Does a lot of fun, does a lot of chiropractic, physical therapy.
Yep.
Gets
absolutely.
athletes better, get them on the way back to play, and lets them decide when their career's done. Right?
That's yeah. The way that I say it is, I work with pro and elite athletes, keeping them in the game until they're ready to leave on their own terms. And so a lot of times we're incorporating not only, like you said, the chiropractic as that foundation, but we integrate quite often with the team trainers and some of the other docs that refer the patients to us. And we're kind of like that cogwheel, a part of that care. So we come in and then we pass them off back to the trainers, et cetera. So I'm not directly affiliated with one particular team or anything like that, or one particular sport, but with what we do, we have opportunity to, express our talents and our skills and working with the athlete, again, keeping them in the game until they're ready to leave on their own terms.
Yeah, and that's a completely different mindset when you're dealing with an athlete versus the average person.
Yeah, a lot of times. I mean, there's not saying that the average person's pain isn't real or that they're not feeling, some issues, but a lot of times those athletes have that criteria of being back right away or being replaced, and so the mindset, like we were just talking about before we started, is different for them than a lot of times the average patient. So.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got the pressure, you've got the money, right? You have to make sure you're in play, which in turn can put quite a bit of pressure on yourself too.
It does. It does. Yeah. And so, the ways that we try to work with that is in our office we try to incorporate. The term is like biohacking. You've heard some people probably say biohacking, that they're biohacking their body for performance or for recovery. And so we kind of implement that into our practice, and in addition to the other forms of therapy that we do. And those biohacking approaches help us to enhance the therapies that we're doing to make them more effective and for the body to receive that therapy much more effectively, to help them with that the recovery to be quicker or the performance to be better.
Yeah.
And so, the way I describe the biohacking is it's the way that your body tries, what you do for your body for it to enhance the performance, but it's a systematic thinking. In other words, you can't just, I'm going to try this or do this diet and it's going to affect. You need to understand where you are trying to enhance the part of that body, if you will.
Okay.
So let's say a tissue injury or along those lines.
Okay.
So you want to focus in on the cells of that tissue. If it's injured, you're wanting to make sure that you're able to get nutrients to that area to help it replenish and to repair, but at the same time you want to pull the waste and toxins out. And so you will very carefully look at a system that will do that for you in addition to the other things that you're normally taking care of.
Okay, so biohacking in a way is helping deliver more oxygen and nutrients in an area. So is that what I'm hearing correctly? That's
It can.
Biohacking is that just part of a system? And if you could just put together biohack, because you hear it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Biohacking, I'm biohacking.
Right.
What, in a simple term, does that mean?
Okay, so to put it in more of a layman's term, everyone that drives a car, obviously you need fuel and oil, and you do the maintenance things. It's almost like the thing that you would do normally to get up during the day to be healthy. You brush your teeth, you eat, you make sure you try getting some rest, etc. So those are kind of like the maintenance on the car. But then let's say you want to enhance that performance of the car. And so you might put or get a car with a fuel injection that brings the fuel in much more efficiently.
Okay.
And that cause the engine to give more performance.
All right.
Or again, talking about the performance, those Fast and Furious movies. I'm sure I could say it. You'll edit it out if I can't.
Yeah. Well, I think you can leave it in.
I think you can leave it. Okay, as long as we're not showing the movie. But those, you watch those guys, they're racing, and then the high performance aspect, they already have high performance cars, but they're trying to get that extra edge, and so they'll put that can of nitrous in to give that quicker performance.
Okay.
And in some cases, that's what the biohacking is.
Yeah.
So in our office, we have patients come in. We do a lot of the traditional therapy approaches that you'll see at most PT offices, with the ultrasound, stem, and et cetera. But then we add these other components in to enhance what those do. So in a sense, it's putting that fuel injection in or adding the nitrous to help them with the recovery or even with the performance.
Awesome.
But it's all done in a way that you're not doing anything illegal with the doping aspects.
Oh, yeah, right.
So that's important too.
Not our favorite performance-enhancing drugs. Right?
No, that's another episode.
That's another episode, right. So what are some things that you do for these athletes that helps them get that nitrous? What are some modalities that you apply that help give them that edge to get better, for better performance, better athletics?
Well, it actually breaks down in a few different components. So some of the things we do is what they would call simple biohacking.
Okay.
Things like helping with their mindset. Of trying to get them back into the game where when we do the training and stuff, instead of being outside, if we can be at their location of their training facilities, the mindset aspect changes because they're used to the equipment, they're used to the environment, they're used to the coaches and the trainers coming by. Yeah. So that aspect of, okay, I'm injured, it is biohacked mentally to help them say, well, this is where I train, this is what I do. So therefore, that little step a lot of times helps with the performance as well. And a lot of times exercising. I mean, you have your activities of daily living that you're getting, like you get up, you move around, your job might be a physical one, but yet you exercise to improve the circulation and improve the heart aspect, as well as helping with the muscle tone. Trying to get more rest, taking a nap during the middle of the day. Right. Some of us want those even more often than others probably want us to take.
Naps are good.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a kid, they don't understand that, but
that's
as
how
adults,
I biohack during the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Some naps.
Yeah, absolutely. They're always wonderful. But so there's simple things that can be done. I actually came across a study that showed gratitude, showing gratitude helped lower your heart rate, helped lower the blood pressure, and caused a more sense of calm and restfulness just by showing gratitude. And so it's not just the karma that you're giving out by doing that, but simple aspects with that. Right. So, we try to make sure that their history and it all includes the simple things that they can do at home. Go ahead.
So let's even go back to when you first talked about environment.
Okay.
Right. So their environment, you said, changes their brain chemistry.
Yes.
Which helps their recoverability.
Yes.
In a sense.
Yeah.
Right. So what are some things that you do with their environment? So you talked about the training facility and the coaches coming in and stuff like that. This is where I train. Is that where you take them to rehab? Is that where their brain gets, better accustomed to getting better, is in the training facility, or do you take them away from that?
So we usually, there's a study that we came across early on that when I was getting into more and more sports medicine, that if you can bring an athlete back to the area that they were injured, and not so much that they're reliving it, but that they're overcoming that fault or that injury at that environment, it caused the mental strength for them to see that goal of getting back in that recovery much greater than if you pulled them out and been in facilities that they're not used to. Now, in some cases, there might be some equipment or things that they need to that isn't at that training site, but the sooner you can get them back to that facility, the better the mindset is, because again, it's a comfort. I mean, think about it like when you've been traveling for a while, all these different places you're at, it's fun for a short time, but after a while you miss home. Right. And then when you walk in the front door, it's almost that, I'm here.
I'm finally here.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And you collapse on your own bed. It's all that mental aspect of this is safe.
Right. So that For me, that comes from like a powerlifting perspective because I've done
Okay.
powerlifting, right? So if I've gotten injured in my back, the first thing that we want to do is get under the bar as safely and as effectively as we can,
Exactly.
right? And
Yes.
then once we do that, then all of a sudden we're teaching our body that, hey, this is okay.
Yes.
Right? We can train.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And it's interesting. I've had history of working with USA Gymnastics,
Okay.
which leads into the Olympic athletes. And I remember working with a lot of the gymnasts that would fall off the high beam. You know, it's a 4 inches and it's 4 feet high, and you know, trying to get them back in. And so we would have devices in our office that mimicked that beam. But and get them to do it on the floor. And it was amazing. I mean, they weren't even, you know, more than a couple inches off the ground, but that mental aspect of, oh no, this is how I hurt myself. It was a battle on the wall. And so we worked with them with that device and then got them to slowly step through and then slowly step through. And eventually it became a neural pattern of, it's okay. I can do this.
I'm safe.
Yeah, and then we, you know, again, biohacked the mental aspect where it would be higher and higher, and eventually they're on a beam that's 4 inches wide, even though it's about this high off.
Yeah.
And they could do it, and then eventually we get them on in the gym, you know, on the device that they fell off of. It was like I overcame this obstacle.
Overcame the obstacle, right?
Yeah, the mental aspect, and it helped not only with the healing of their injury, but it helped with the mental aspect of not being fearful of doing it again.
Right.
And we were able to retrain the neuromuscular pattern so that they could be even better at
Kind of almost take them out of that fight or flight stage
Exactly.
and back into it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Help them get more of that balance of sympathetic, parasympathetic.
Exactly.
Right?
And I apologize for interrupting, but you bring out a really good point, is that when we're injured, we're in that fight or flight, or that sympathetic, as they clinically call it.
Yep.
So what we want to try to do is get the body as quickly as possible into that parasympathetic stage, which is where your body is more of that relaxation. The muscles aren't as tense, they're not as guarded.
Yep.
The neural response is much more active in response to that relaxation. So when we get into that parasympathetic state, that's when your body actually heals. So doing these things to calm that relaxation, like I said, the meditation that allows your body to be calm, or taking melatonin to help you sleep more at night, you know, those types of things. Any way that you can get into that parasympathetic state, your body responds much better to that healing.
Yeah, because we joked around about naps, right, and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and sleeping.
Yeah.
But that really is probably one of the best things that you can do for recoverability.
Well, and then you look at
get that
these
sleep.
Yeah, I mean, these huge companies like Google and all. I mean, they have nap stations for their employees in the middle of the day. Like I said, as kids, we hated naps, and we were always on the go. The parents, you know, we always wanted the nap with the child, and maybe without the child. You know, mommy's got a timeout. I'm going into my room by myself. Don't interrupt. It's nap time for mommy. You know? It's something that you know, instinctively we know is good, but unfortunately we don't take time as adults to take care of. So that is one of the simple ways that we work with the biohacking. And then when you ask me what else we do, there are other aspects with nutrition to make sure the nutrients are in. And so some people, you know, if they're doing trying to run a marathon, you know, they'll carb up the next day or the first day, so that they have that energy for that long endurance and
the
it breaks down.
sustained energy.
Yeah, and so that is a form of biohacking. You have people that do that are trying to lose weight and they do the fasting. Trying to think of how they call it. They fast for a period of time and then they eat and then they
intermittent fasting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Brain fart. I gotta put on my other hat. So I mean that's another way of how people do the nutritional aspects to it, or they take supplements like omega-3s to help with brain function, or for gut health. You know, the nutrients in the good bacteria to help with that. So.
What are some of your favorite supplements that you'll give an athlete to help them recoverability? What's your favorite? Say like your top 3 favorites.
Top 3. Okay, so if it's a tissue response that's been damaged of the joint or something like that, chondroitin and glucosamine we like because the glucosamine helps to rebuild that cartilage up, and the chondroitin helps make it more durable.
Okay.
So that's something that we want the athlete to take so that they're also not only decreasing the pain and inflammation, but rebuilding the tissue, the cells that have been damaged. So those are good. The bromelain is great for anti-inflammatory. Bromelain.
Okay.
Is great, or even ginger. If someone's putting more in their food and drink, and then CBD. I mean, it's a common one that's growing more and more.
Yep.
The problem with that is you want to make sure you got a good product and not just getting something that, this has CBD, this will help. And what's unique about the CBD again is you're biohacking the genetics of your body, because our body actually has receptors to receive CBD.
Okay.
And so when that happens, depending upon the strain of the CBD, there's CBD, CBN, CBA, CB1, CB2. I mean, it goes, I think there's well over 100 different ones right now. Don't ask me to name them.
All of them go.
No, yeah, right? Well, look at our time. But anyway, each one of those strands of CBD, which is the most common one talked about, hit those receptors to respond to the body to help with inflammation, to help with gut health, to help with the mental aspect, to help with relaxation, et cetera. So when you're able to utilize those in conjunction with what we do, again, you're stepping up. The third component of the biohacking that we do in conjunction with our regular treatments is the more of the higher end technology aspects, such as working with an athlete with biofeedback or neurofeedback is a common one. Doing PEMF, pulse electromagnetic frequency, that helps a lot with circulation directly into the cells, which is great because when you're doing things like the oxygen chambers or hyperbarometric chambers, you're forcing more oxygen in.
Okay.
And it's great because you're saturating the body, or even if you're taking the CBD, you're taking the body, but just because it's saturated doesn't mean the cells are utilizing it.
Okay. Now let's go back to what you said before. The PDM, what is
PEMF.
it called? PEMF.
Pulse electromagnetic frequency.
Okay, what is that?
So it's a frequency that's actually been around and in therapy since the early 1920s.
Really?
But it's becoming more and more understood. And if you look at the scale of frequencies, I mean, you have radio frequencies that, the radio station and all it sends out, or the television has frequencies. And then you go up the scale and you start getting more into the X-ray aspects. And then you go further up that scale and you get into the gamma rays. Okay. All right. Now, the gamma rays, we all know, is what turns you into the Hulk.
Okay, of course.
We've seen enough to see the gamma rays are not
I've read
good.
enough comic books.
Yeah, exactly. So going from what is safe of the radio waves going up, then you go down the scale, and when you go further down, you have the radio waves, you have the cell phone radio waves kind of that come off, and then you get down to PEMF. So it's extremely safe, and it's something that our body absorbs through the therapy. So when we're constantly being bombarded by various waves. I mean, you have some people that are pro, 5G phones, and some people are against because of that frequency that's close to your head and brain, et cetera. So when you're dealing with PEMF, you have to understand that it is on this other end.
Okay, so it's on the way safe end of the spectrum of radio
yeah.
waves, and actually beneficial for you.
Yes, you get more waves coming out you from your computer screen than you do.
Okay,
from
this. So is it a machine that you need? Is it something you can wear?
It is. This particular thing is a therapy machine.
Okay.
Most commonly, it's involved in clinics. They have developed some that people can purchase on their own, a lot of times with a prescription, But there are some companies out there, and the ones that we use in our office, that it can be a clinical and or personal use. It can be dependent upon how it's being utilized. And of course, we work with our athletes if they want to get their own to do that. But this particular one, it has a unique frequency wavelength. It's a sine wave, and it starts out rather lower and wider band, and then it goes up to where it's more concentrated or closer together, and then it goes up to extremely concentrated and much higher peaks of that sine wave.
Okay.
So, anyway.
The sine wave.
A sine wave, yeah, exactly.
All right.
So it's not a simple one, it's a complex one. And what is interesting about this particular device that we use, when I did the research on this particular company, they have that patented. It was actually researched at the Microcirculation Institute, which is the most authority on microcirculation.
Okay.
I mean, if you're a medical doctor and you're going to school for microcirculation, this university has published all the books and that you will study from for that degree. So they're very much the authority, and they found that this particular wavelength that I was describing, where it's low and slow, low and spread out up to higher peaks and much closer together.
Okay.
It affects the microcirculation of your that deals with bringing the nutrients directly to the cells.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can break it down even further if you wanted, but the bottom line is it causes the circulation to go into the cells much more efficiently, so that if you are doing anything like an IV nutrients or even taking things orally to help with your digestive system and gut health, it's in your bloodstream.
Okay.
And it gets to the cells of the tissue to be more utilized much more efficiently.
So it basically speeds up capillary function, so red blood cells, and white blood cells, and all that stuff just get really speed up really fast.
Exactly, and it
which
becomes
is
more
amazing
efficient
for recovery.
It is, because that's when you're bringing the good stuff in and pulling the bad stuff out, which is what you need to have. This particular device, we were talking earlier about the sympathetic and parasympathetic. This particular device also brings the body, when the patient's laying on it, down into that parasympathetic state, or helps bring it to it. So again, anything else that we're doing is more received by the body for that healing and that recovery.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. This is my buddy, Dr. Jim Withers. Look it up. What's your company name again?
Chirofitness and Rehabilitation Center is my office.
Yep.
And I'm hard to get to directly because of the circles that I work with. But if you do want to reach out, Chirofitness and Rehabilitation Center on all the social media platforms.
Awesome. So the three big things, the takeaways from this episode that we got. One's biohacking, like if you're injured, change your environment, right? Go to an environment you got injured in safely and effectively.
Right.
Work through it, right? Get better.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Number two is your nutrients, right?
Yes.
Making sure you're getting the right nutrients that you can in.
Right.
And if you know somewhere that has a PEMF wave to help those nutrients go, PDMF, whatever.
Yeah. And again, you can reach out.
MDAA, what is it?
Yeah.
CBD, whatever.
all those, MBA, ABC, whatever. Yeah.
So anyway, what was the actual name of it?
For the PMF. Device.
That one.
The PMF device that I have
is
a medical device produced by a company named Beamer, BEMER.
Okay.
It stands for Bioelectromagnetic Energy Regulation, which is why I say Beamer, because
that's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a mouthful.
It means I have to bill you more if I say those bigger words.
I don't need you to bill me anymore.
No,
you took enough of your time, right? So anyway, those are the three that we're going to take away from today, right? So environment, nutrients, and a place that has that device that helps. PMF device that helps with your capillaries to get through your system, to get those nutrients flushed through you. This is Dr. Jim Withers. I'm Coach Kris. Thank you for joining us. Coach Kris out.